Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of Let's Talk Teens. This will be a three-part series where I discuss mental health in teenagers both here in the United States and in Europe with Dina Mitrovoltsis of Beyond the Waves. Dina is a mental health coach and advocate for both teenagers and young adults in Belgium. Due to the time difference, this interview was pre-recorded. In part two, we'll talk about lack of confidence, loneliness, past traumas, and suicide, as these are some of the topics Dina notices when she's working with young people. Enjoy. Do you think that you have to take a different approach with the boys versus girls?
Not really actually, because with the males it sometimes takes a little bit longer before they really open up. But as long as you give them a sense of security and trust, and you sincerely listen to them and empathize with them, then they open up, and you can feel a connection between you. So that's the part that you want their trust. So that's very important, because you can help them better then, because they tell you more. So this is something that applies both to male and female. So for me, there's a little difference in approach, not much. No. Sometimes the males seem tougher, but actually they also want the same thing, and that's to be helped.
So it sounds like basically just making sure that their voices are heard and that you're creating a safe space for them to open up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say are the three biggest issues that teens in Belgium are facing today?
That would be too little self-confidence, loneliness, and also depression that leads to suicide. So the loneliness comes further from living fast and not connecting. So this gives them an empty feeling inside. So it's not just about not having people around them. And while loneliness can be a trigger for suicidal thoughts, it usually comes from unresolved trauma. They have so much unprocessed grief that they do not understand, and they cannot let go. So in many cases, it's also very painful things that they experienced when they were very little, very young. So that was a trauma. It was too big, and they couldn't handle it at that moment. So it causes them to block everything on a subconscious level, and sometimes not even remember it at all. And this is something that is so deep that they themselves don't know why they feel so bad. And they're afraid. They're afraid all the time. They live in fear. And this is really something that tears them apart. And the only way out they see is suicide.
Well, that's pretty sobering.
It is.
So you said it's lack of self-confidence, loneliness, and then the depressive thoughts leading to suicide. How do you think Belgium represents other countries in Europe that are close by and border you, like Germany, the Netherlands, France?
In my opinion, I think Belgium represents the rest of Europe very well, because you see similar things all over Europe. So actually, suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people, and that's in Belgium, but it's also through Europe, all Europe. So it's terrible. It's everywhere. I don't know if that's the case in America also.
Actually, it is. It's interesting that you brought that up, that suicide is the second leading cause of death for young people. It's the same here in the United States. Mm-hmm. According to the CDC, which is our Centers for Disease Control, the number one leading cause of death for young people in our country from age 15 to 19 is accidental injuries. Mm-hmm. Then number two is suicide, unfortunately.
Okay, it's the same thing here.
very interesting that we've got the same thing going on with our young people throughout the world.
Yes.
So that's why it's important that we do this work.
Yes.